Yo, what's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. We have a brand new challenge difficulty quest to take on the single match Pirate Rumble. So in this video, we are having 4 separate teams that can take this on. There are definitely a lot of teams that can do this, and there are definitely, some sort of replacements for each of these squads here. I would say with this team that you're seeing right here, this was the most successful team that I used in order to beat this. It wasn't the first team I tried, but it was the most successful one that I had found. And we did get a little bit lucky with certain special launches and stuff, but the big key component here, Garp is so good here, especially with his recent buffs. He's a very bulky unit, adds a lot of bulk to the squad. Him and Who's Who both have really good rumble abilities that can add a lot of bulk to our squad. Don Jinjiao is such a homie, dude. Just the special reverse mechanics, he can special bind the opponent. It's so valuable to have. And you've got Katakuri and ulti that hit extremely hard, and then obviously Garp can do damage. Who's Who if he launches in the first 40 seconds or 60 seconds. Either way, he does damage through defense, which is kind of key. And then Katakuri is also the homie. He takes a lot of damage up front, and he can heal himself. He does a lot of damage with his special. And then on the bench, we have the Sai Treasure Map Jinbei, because he's actually pretty decent, but I found that using him on the front line isn't the most optimal way to use the fighter squad. This is the best fighter team that I've been able to find so far, with the Garp and the Sengoku, with the Garp and the Don Jinjiao, should I say. I don't have the Rumble Rare Recruit King. If I did, I probably would use him on the bench over Jinbei, but all in all, this is a really fun team that gets the job done. If you have the applicable characters, you should definitely give this team a shot, because it's very, very satisfying to use. Moving on now to the next team. This is a team that I think a lot of people are going to opt to build for this content. The thing is even though the opponent is focusing around Sai characters, they don't have a lot of good synergy, and another thing is that there's no Wano lore, so you don't have to worry about bringing Powerhouse characters or Driven characters and worry about having them debuffed. But we can still bring characters that can debuff Sai, which is why I'm using the super type Katakuri. Realistically, you don't need Katakuri on the team. I don't think he's a necessity, but he definitely helps out with speed reduction and special CT reduction. He's just a pretty solid unit overall, but one of the big issues with the int team is they don't have a lot of characters that give them CT increase. Another thing as well is I don't have the Pirate Rumble Rare Recruit Fujitora. If I did, I would definitely want to squeeze him on the main line, probably over Dory and over Broggy, and then put Dory and Broggy both on the bench. That probably would work out a bit better, as we'd have more additional bulk. And then probably replacing Katakuri with another int attacker would probably work better, but because I don't have that, we have to run something a little bit more offensively focused, using Broggy on the front lines and then Katakuri to provide debuffs. Moria obviously is a huge asset to any int team due to the halving of stats and the guaranteed fixed damage. Kid is actually a pretty solid choice too. He does good damage, and he does have the ability to special bind side characters. And then of course Uta. If you're running an int team with driven characters, majority of the time you want to use Uta. She is phenomenal. She does so much damage, as you guys are going to see towards the end of this clip. Moving on now, we have my DEX team. Now, this is the exact same DEX team that I use in normal Rumble matches versus quick squads, but I was just curious to see if it would actually work against this team here. And surprisingly, it worked okay. It definitely wasn't my favorite choice. If I was going to change it around, I probably wouldn't run cat and dog together. You know, we do use that really low-cost dog just so that we can get the additional buffs from using Cat Viper against the quick teams. But because we're not up against quick, we can replace Dogstorm with something else. Unfortunately, I don't have Pirate Rumble Rare Recruit Pell. If I did, he would 100% make it onto all my DEX teams because he's just that guy. Pell is phenomenal. And then we've also got Doflamingo, so we'll get to a point in this match where we get pretty much down to the wire. Doflamingo does come in, but he doesn't really provide much sustenance. He doesn't get a chance to launch his special, which is a bit of a shame. But we do end up pulling out the victory somehow. It's actually a relatively close game with this squad. But Luffy is just, you know, one of the best Rumble characters in the game. I don't know what they were thinking, introducing not only a revive mechanic, but it works for any, you know, color unit on your squad. Anytime a DEX character is knocked out, you revive them with 50%. You know, we've already seen characters like Luffy Crew who have these revive mechanics that are already pretty strong, but the fact that this guy can just revive any of your allies that had been knocked out, not just the unit himself, I think it is a bit too much. It's very, very strong. Luffy himself obviously does some pretty decent damage. We have Dalton, which actually is a pretty good asset to the squad. You know, if you don't have Pell, Dalton's kind of like the second best thing. He is very, very similar to Pell, but Pell just kind of does what Dalton does, but a bit better. And Moria is still pretty decent, being able to provide defense reduction on top of doing pretty decent horizontal damage. And same with Cat Viper. Cat Viper does do very good horizontal damage. And then I obviously was using versus Yamato, who is what I use normally versus opposing quick teams, as Yamato's passive and also her special provide really good damage buffs for not only Yamato herself, but also the rest of the squad versus quick teams. But in this instance here, even though we're not up against quick, Yamato can still hold her own and actually do pretty decent damage. And as we said, if it does get down to the late game, if we do have quite a few knockouts, we really kind of rely on Doflamingo in order to get some kills for us. But one of the unfortunate things is, due to the fact that Luffy revives one of the DEX allies, it can actually get to a little bit weird at a certain point where it's kind of difficult to get the bench units onto the team because it takes a really long time, and by the time the bench units come on, they might not be super useful. But anyways, I'll leave you with the rest of this clip and we'll pick things up once we get to the last team. Now we can go ahead and have a look at the final team of the video, which was the closest team that you guys are going to be seeing in this video. And really early on in this match, I was going to reset because we got kind of wave cleared where our big key hitters with Akainu and Kaido got knocked out. And I had a feeling that we weren't really going to have much of an opportunity to come back into the game. But I kind of held it together and I thought, you know what, let's see what these bench units can do. You know, they're on here for a reason. Let's see if they can hold their own. And surprisingly enough, they pull through pretty well, honestly. I mean, you'll see it gets pretty close and down to the wire, but surprisingly, you know, characters like Whitebeard, man, he still holds his own. He's still one of the better bench units to be using in the game. Groggy monsters surprisingly do pretty good damage, especially when it comes down to the wire, when there's only 2 or 3 characters left. You know, they're obviously hitting all of the opponent's leftover characters, and then Senor Pink, luckily enough, was the character to actually get us the victory towards the end of this clip. Very, very surprising. But one thing you do have to worry about with the opposing squad, obviously, is Sanji can do pretty good damage. Sengoku has low CT, so he will launch his special quite often. Roger, you know, you got to be careful about Roger, because not only guaranteeing to hit all of your characters, but if your characters are bunched up together and he hits them all, he'll likely inflict your whole crew with attack, defense, and speed down, which means that the other opposing characters will do more damage towards you and you do less damage towards them. So Roger is definitely a big key flag character, but their bench is frightening. Having Yamato come in, Katakuri towards the late game. Sabo isn't that much of an issue, he doesn't really do that much. But Yamato and Katakuri, they do a lot of damage off of the bench, so you do have to be very cautious about that. So definitely keep that in mind. But that is going to wrap it up from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave you guys with the rest of this clip with an absolute MVP victory from my bench units. Really hope you guys did enjoy this video today. And if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.
Karissa!